to be able to speak to all of you here, public servants, to be able to talk to you about what we have in common. Like, I've been excited about this. When they asked me to do it, I said, well, why would you ask me to do it? What would I have to add? And you all are public servants. I believe that's what I am, public servant. We are all blessed to be in the seats we are in because our lives become about others. The joy that we all feel, and what I try to tell my team, you feel joy when you do something for someone else and you see you make a difference. You see you can lift somebody else. That's your lives. That's what you do for a living. What is better than that? So to be able to talk to you, I want you to think as a coach now. And there are so many things that we all do that are in common. I got to tell you, let me start by giving you my background. Because some of you here may say, wow, it sounds like my background. My grandparents came through Ellis Island, did not speak English. My parents are high school educated. They had one goal in their lives, a better life for their children. They wanted us college educated, all three of us were. We're the first college educated in our entire family on both sides. My grandparents lived in Coriopolis, Pennsylvania. A house that was 12 inches from them. They were right next to each other. 12 inches. I mean, if you went between them, you walked sideways. Was a black family, the Harleys. And my introduction to race relations was, back in the early 70s, the riots were happening, and Mr. Harley sitting on the front porch as my dad walked away with me as a young child. And he said, Vince, don't worry about this. I got your grandma. I got your mom. You're all good. So my point of view comes from that. My dad was a laborer. Friday to Friday, they got paid. Thursday was a tough day. So when I look at this and I tell you we are all public servants, it's what we do. My dad had this in what we do, the ups and downs of this. Because sometimes it feels like it's crisis management. Would you admit that? It's like every day is something's happening that I got to deal with. So my dad gave us this story all the time. Back in Pittsburgh, my name was Johnny. Everybody's last name was with a Y. Billy, Tommy, Johnny. So I was Johnny. Johnny, it's never quite as good as it seems. And never quite as bad as it seems. Somewhere in the middle falls reality. Keep things in perspective. And he used to tell us all the time if things were good, if things were bad. Keep things in perspective. So my sister went away to college. She went to Penn State. Do we have any Penn State graduates here? I have yet to be the Penn State graduate. We got one? We got two. I just met two Penn State. So when I tell you the story of the Happy Valley, you're going to say, I know the Happy Valley. That's where I went to school. She went away to Penn State, and we hadn't heard from her in a month. She sent a letter home, and the letter, my mother got it and said, Vince, do you want me to read this letter? And the letter went something like this. Dear Mom, Dad, Leah, and John, everything here in the Happy Valley is wonderful. I'm enjoying the school. I'm enjoying the professors. I'm enjoying it socially, and my dorm burned to the ground. I lost all my books and belongings, but I went to Goodwill. I caught up. The clothes are fine. I borrowed books. I'm great. I moved into an off-campus apartment. My dad now is looking. I have a new roommate, Jim. So my dad, he had that vein, the one that went right there, you can see it. So I'm kind of looking at him, and it went, you're going to grow to love Jim as I do. He's been out of rehab for 6 months, and he's done wonders. And then it goes on. I do want to apologize to all of you for not inviting you to the wedding. It happened quickly. But Mom and Dad, I want to congratulate you too on becoming grandparents. At this point, my dad's standing up, his eyes are bulging. At the bottom, she signed it, your loving daughter, Terry. P.S. Dad, all of the above is a lie. I failed chemistry, and I wanted you to keep things in perspective. Now, again, I'm going to hit on 4 or 5 things that public servants, servant leaders, coaches deal with, that they put together to try to help build an environment that people can succeed, people around them. We call it players first. That every decision I make, before I make it, what is this going to do for my team? What does this do for each individual? Our college president, who's here, Dr. Capilouto, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, says students first. There's $2 billion of buildings going on our campus to house them, to feed them, new science buildings. It's incredible what's going on. We have no parking now. But he's made it about student first. Any decision he's made has been about what does this do to students? Does this make their experience here better? That's all I do. The first piece of this, it's the vision of you all as a coach that you have for the people that you lead. What is your vision? What is the dream you want them to have? And my thing is, with my basketball team, I will sit down with them and have them close their eyes and tell them, here's what I want this to look like. And I'll go through it. And I'll talk about each individual player, not just in a sense of the group. It'll be, I see this happening, and I see this happening. I say that because we all dreamed. And when we dreamed when we were young, it always brought a smile to our faces. I'll give you one that I used to do. I used to go in the backyard, we had a hoop, and I would be out there by myself shooting. And then I started playing a game. Some of you may have been hitting golf balls, you may have been hitting tennis. How many of you hit tennis balls against the wall? And all of a sudden it's a game, you're smashing it, you're playing. Well, mine was basketball. Might have been baseball, throwing it into the net. In the backyard, I never lost. I was averaging 72 a game. I kept stats. And some of you are laughing because you did the same. And when my mother said, Johnny, let's go, we're having dinner, come on. The last shot for me was to the left corner. 3, 2, 1, over the corner of the backboard, bam, game winner. And if I missed, I got fouled. It's my dream. How do we get to where people have those dreams and those hopes and they can see there's a path to them? Can we get some in our communities and on my basketball team? I need some of them to think like kings. Think like a king. Not everybody's equal. They're not all equal. But we need to talk to drag the rest. I'm not trying to slow you down. We need to talk to drag the rest. How can I get some to think like a king? What does it mean to think like a king? Kings think different than all of us. They just think different. Arnie Palmer went to Bahrain to build a golf course. He went over, and after he was done, he was paid handsomely, and the king went to Arnie, I'd like to give you a gift. And Arnie said, no, when the guy hit him, you always accept the gift of the king. You accept it. Okay. And the king says, what would you like? And Arnie says, a golf club. He said, I didn't know what to ask. I just said golf club. But he gets on the plane and he's going back to Latrobe. And he starts thinking about this golf club from the king. Camel hair grip. Has to have rubies and diamonds on it, so probably solid gold. Maybe white gold, I don't know, but it's got to be ridiculous. So for 2-3 weeks, he's thinking about this golf club. And then the letter comes in the mail from the king. And Arnie says, a letter? Asks us, was there anything with this? No. So he opens it in the letter, thank you for all that you've done. I appreciate it. You know, blah, blah, blah. Arnie goes to stick the letter back in, and there's another piece. It's a deed to a golf club. Let me say it again. It's a deed. See, kings think different than we think. And trying to get an Anthony Davis, as skinny as he was, to be about his teammates, understanding you can be the best, drag people with you. You can be the best. Worry about them, they'll worry about you. You're going to go farther. The same with Carl Town. Do you know Anthony Davis took the 4th most shots on our team? Yeah, there were 3 guys that took more shots than him. How about Carl Towns, Rookie of the Year, unanimous, played 21 minutes so that Dakari Johnson could get 18 minutes a game. He only averaged 11 points a game. Look, I have half of my team, 20 young players have left and been drafted. Half of them average more in the NBA than they did for us. What? No, that league is not easier than the SEC. They understood I can be the best and I can drag people with me and I lose nothing. The other side of this is, yeah, you can get them to dream and you can paint a picture and this is what we want. But as in us too, you have to work. You, and I tell my team this, you must be responsible for you. As we leave, you have to be responsible for you. Are you willing to spend time? The best players I've coached have curious minds. They watch, they learn, they ask questions, they become lifelong learners. So working yourself, spending time, enjoying work, people, just my opinion, because of my point of view, people don't want a handout. They want a hand up. They want a hand up. I think, again, dignity with that is what they're looking for. Now it becomes for all of us, for me, is about how do I give my guys a hand up? I can't do it for them. If they think by coming to Kentucky, they are automatically getting drafted, it ain't happening. They are responsible. I'll give them the platform. I'm going to give them the hand up. But you are responsible for you. Do you remember when we grew up and you were thinking about baseball, football, and basketball, and your families said to you, you know, you can't, don't be thinking about the NBA and all that because only 0.005% of them make it in the NBA. You're going to have, raise your hand if you ever heard that. Okay? Well, if you come to Kentucky, 70% of our guys can draft you. Let me just throw that out there, okay? Let me just throw that out there. The other part of this is, and this is big for you guys and ladies, working with others. Can you look at their point of view? Can you put yourself in their shoes? Can you be wrong just every once in a while so someone else can be right? Working with others. On our campus, they talked about the science building, but the university also gets about $3 or $4 million from athletics for scholarship. Dr. Capilouto has taken that money to bring in merit scholars, and as a public institution, I think we're in the top 10 in merit scholars that come to this campus. How? They get scholarships too now, so they have that chance to do it. We have a basketball camp. Has anybody come to our father-son camp that's in here? Because we have like 1,800 a year that come to our father-son camp. Dr. Capilouto speaks to them. He comes in and speaks to these young kids and their fathers about the university. We work together. Now, I got to get him to work on the cost of food and housing a little bit more for us. But he puts out, we use the best facilities to put our best foot forward. The best food, working together, working with others. And then the biggest thing for all of us, public servants, servant leaders, coaches, working for someone else. Now, I got this story. I worked at the University of Kansas. Does that hit home with anybody? Any Kansas graduates? There you go. They beat us this year. We had them. It was a bad call. It was overtime. Tyler Eulis got the crap beat out of him that whole game. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh. The greatest joy in my coaching career. And I've had a pretty good run. I've had some good things happen. I've been blessed. Told you where my family's from. And I'm coaching in Kentucky. First of all, you have to sit there and say, how in the world did that happen? You came from that, and now that's the great thing about this. If you have a lot of people helping you and people doing stuff together. But the greatest joy happened when I was an assistant at Kansas. I used to work with a kid named Cedric Hunter. We recruited him from Omaha, Nebraska. He was a 6'3" center type, and we were trying to make him a point guard. So at the time, Larry Brown's the head coach, and he said, you work with him every day before practice. So I worked with him on a move that I would come at the guy, and some of you play basketball. Who's played basketball in this room? This is Southeast. How many of you played football? Raise your hands, man. Let me see it. He'd come down, and he was so fast and active and long, and he came down and would fake like a crossover and go. And it was the best, and that was his move now. So he says to me, give me something else. So I said, okay, you do the same move, and as you're driving, ball fake like you're passing to a corner and shoot a layup. So come down to it. He would drive, shoot a layup. So the next day, we're playing Kansas State, biggest game on the schedule. And I grabbed him prior to the game. I said, don't be using that move. We just did it yesterday. You're going to end up getting me fired. You're going to walk, run somebody over, you do something. Don't use it. He said, I got you. So about halfway through the game, it's right before half, he comes flying down the court. Guys in front of him, a kid named Ronnie Kellogg was in the corner. You remember Ronnie Kellogg from back in the day? Shot it every time. So a ball fake to Ronnie Kellogg worked. He was going to shoot it if he got it. He came down, bang, bang. He ball fakes Ronnie Kellogg. Ronnie Kellogg's defender runs that way. He shoots a layup. 17,000 people go crazy. They go nuts. On the bench, I'm getting tapped by all the, they know I would. And the greatest thrill I had is the kid running down the court pointing at me. It still brings goosebumps. Working for others. Now, I'm looking around the room. Well, there's some younger people, there's some older people. If the younger people could learn this earlier in life, because us older people did not, when you make life about others, it becomes easier. But it's hard when you're young, trying to fight your way, you're ambitious, you're trying to do it. But us old people say, don't worry, you'll get it. There's going to come a point in your life that you're going to say, this isn't all worth it, but what I just felt when I helped this person, that's what brings joy. That's what extends your life. That's what makes you feel way more productive. than anything else. How do we, as we're working for others, and working ourselves, and trying to stay curious, and trying to work with other people to try to get their point of view to be wrong every once in a while? Just every once in a while. Once a month be wrong so someone else could be right. We get to that point, how do they keep going? So now they're finally working, they feel like they have hope, they have a dream. Well, then it comes to trust. And I heard our governor say, do what you say you're going to do. Can they trust you? This is what I'm saying I'm going to do, and you're going to see that's what I'm going to do. In recruiting, I call it you undersell and overdeliver. I'm not promising the world. It's going to be hard. The hardest place you can go is Kentucky. It is. I'm not saying that to be arrogant. You are not scoring 30 a game here. If you want to score 30 a game, you got to go somewhere else. You want to go where they say you will be the face of the program. You're not coming here. If you want to drink, smoke, chase, club, you can't come here. Because if it happens on this campus, it's on the ticker. I get in the morning, Dr. Capilouto's sitting at my desk. What's happening here? You can't do that here. You're going to go to class. We graduated 14 players in 7 years. 3 graduated in 3 years. We've had a 3.0 grade point average for 6 out of 7 years. As a team, no way some of you are thinking, that's not what they write about you. That's not what they say about that program. You're just 1 year and get them out, and they don't even go to class the second term. What? Do they go to class the second term, Dr. Capilouto? He makes sure. The reason is we give them a lifetime scholarship. As long as they leave us eligible, they can come back whenever they choose and finish their degree. Because it's about players first. The trust builds belief that is blind faith. Like, why would Carl Towns accept playing 21 minutes and average 11 points? Well, blind faith. Trust. Why would Devin Booker, who they're saying is the best rookie other than Carl, those two, came off the bench for us, did not start, and left after a year, and they're saying he's the best young kid in the NBA? How did he accept that? Trust, belief. How about this one? Can all of us in the room think like we did when we were 12? When you were 12 years old, if you played baseball or softball and you were in right field, what did that mean? Not one of you raise your hand if you played right field. If you were in right field, you know what that meant. Everybody got a position, and Johnny, go to right field. My nephew Matt played right field, 12 years old. I used to go watch him play. I'm a little bit late to the game. I'm standing on the fence on the side watching him. He'd say the wrong things. If the ball was hit to him, it would go to the fence. He'd throw it to the wrong guy, or he'd be out there and he'd catch it, and what would he do? Say it, and he'd hold it. And what would everybody be yelling? Throw it, throw it, throw it. And he'd throw it to the wrong, you're like, no, the other way. If he was at bat, what would you yell as soon as the pitcher went like that? Swing, swing, because you knew it would hit the mitt, and then he'd swing. Come on, we've all seen it. So I walk out to that fence, and I'm a little bit late. I'm about 20 minutes late. And there's no score. Did the game start late? No, it started on time. Matt, what's the score? 17-0. Now I'm thinking, is this over at 20? What is this? I mean, then you know how what am I going to say? How do I encourage? What What do I give a 12-year-old? You know what he gave me? He looked back and said, but we haven't been up yet. You know what makes that story hit home with all of you? You've all been there. I've been there. We've all been there. Something along the way jades us a little bit to where we can't think that way. It ain't never over. There's another way. There's another challenge. There's something else. There's something that we can agree to. There's something that we can look at and say, let's make this work. What about this? It's never over. Let's think like we're 12. I want my kids, here's what I tell my players, fail fast. Try things. If it doesn't work, you know and I know. I'm watching. It doesn't work. You want to shoot threes? Make some. It's not just shooting, it's making. Well, if you let me shoot, I did. You can't make any. But I want them to try. Because I don't want them to feel restricted in any way. Sometimes they are delusional. You don't understand. I do understand. I should be this? No. That's part of what we have to do to be real. And again, what players will say all the time, well, Coach Cal keeps it real. And they're all good with that until you keep it real with them. Oh, he keeps it real. Nah, Coach, that hurts me. Well, do you want me to lie? I'll tell you the greatest thing, and you did. It's part of what we do as coaches, as servant leaders, as public servants. I'm going to leave you with two things, and then I'll answer any questions. The last part of this becomes having a refuse to lose. You win or you learn. And it's never over until we fix something. It's just not over. We're not going to give up. Just keep trying. We don't have to agree. Let's just not be disagreeable. Let's be in the other guy's point of view. And for me, we don't lose a game. We learn. We win or we learn. And we go back, and if we win, some of you guys are getting, and ladies are getting so much stuff done. Well, why? I mean, you almost got to ask, don't just say when things aren't going right, well, we're not together and that. Well, it's going well. Why is this working? What's happening here? Because you got to run with that as much as you do all the time, try to evaluate what's going wrong here. That's refuse to lose. It doesn't mean you personally win all the time. It means an attitude about it's never over, we ran out of time. In our case, if we had 5 more minutes, we would have. And I would tell you that refuse to lose means that you have a curious mind, that you're a lifelong learner, that you're always reading, trying to pick up something that can help you help people. In my case, help my players. Is there something I can give them that would light fires? Is there something else? And for all of you here, what a great position you're in, because I'm going to give you this, and it was, I'll tell you who said it after, because it was a political governor that said this, and I say political, he was a governor. And I don't want you to think, well, he's this or that. Here's what he said. Some people climb the ladder of success, and they turn around and they pick up the ladder. People like you in this room, you've climbed that same ladder of success, and you pick up the next person, you pick up the next person, you pick up the next person. That's what makes you different. That's what brings joy to your life. And let me say, I congratulate you for that. It was Mario Cuomo. So now if you're on one side of the aisle, I don't like that statement. I like that statement. Let me do this. Let me answer a few questions. If I can do that, I'll answer a couple questions and SEC questions. Got people running for the doors. See you guys. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions. I just want to tell you, yes. We do?
Hi,
Hi.
proud member of the Big Blue Nation.
There you go.
Can you give us some thoughts on the team coming up?
You're not going to believe this. We're really young this year. We practiced yesterday, and I'm trying to keep telling myself, it's July. But we're going to be fine. I'm excited about the opportunity we have. And, you know, you may look at this and say, how in the world do you do this? Like change your team every year and you're okay with it? Because it's great for those kids and those families. And I'll deal with whatever else happens. Has it hurt the University of Kentucky at all? Can I tell you, these players, do you mind if I tell you what their salaries collectively have been in the last 7 years? Almost $1 billion! I know you're sitting here saying, what did you just say? $1 billion. I'm hearing Mr. Stivers say what's happening on our campus, and then it hasn't hurt us. Has it hurt our state and hurt our city? No. But I'll tell you this, it's helped those families. Some of them, generational poverty. Do you know from your areas, when I talk generational poverty, their families get to breathe for the first time. It's crazy. Hasn't hurt us a bit. Yes?
Coach, representing one of the representatives from Alabama here, a couple of years ago.
You had a heck of a football program.
Yeah. Well, that's where my question's headed. A couple of years ago, you made mention of reaching out, I think, to Nick Saban and talking to him and trying to turn your team around at the time or to better your team. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you and Nick talked about, or what you?
Sure. One, I have just so much respect for what he does. Do you remember when their kicker missed a field goal? Oh yeah. And they in the season, and he went up and hugged that kid and built that kid up, and that kid, they won the national title after that. And I called him after and said, what you did right there won you the national title. They lost that game. But that's what he was. I asked him after they had won the national title, we had won the national title. I said, what did you do to your team? He said, well, it's a little different in football. In football, I get a lot of guys coming back. But I have to remind them that a bunch of guys left, and this is a different team. And so he talked about ways that he got me to think of what I should do now. It really helped because the next year we went to the NIT. But so I haven't met and asked him for opinions lately, but he gave me, he's unbelievable in what he does and his approach and his single-mindedness. And I respect that. So he's really good. Yes?
Coach, my name is Jeff Taylor. I'm a representative here in Kentucky. It takes a lot of cultural and racial diversity and harmony to succeed in athletics. Do you see any way that we can transfer that type of synergy to our law enforcement and minority communities to help heal our nation?
When you deal with people on a basis of who they are and their character versus anything else, I think that's the beginnings of it. And let me say this, for all of us in this room, I've been in the company of assistant coaches where we walk in a mall and they get followed. I've been there. I've been in the car when they get pulled over and they don't see me, I'm leaning back. I've been there. I've been on an airplane. My assistant's beside me, they ask him for his ticket because we're in first class. And I say, why are you asking him for his ticket? You didn't ask me for my ticket. Well, we just want to make, you want to look at my ticket? I've been there. So we have issues. Most of it becomes issues of dealing with people because of what they look like. Can I give you one? Kid has his pants down, has his hat on, white or black, and you're walking down, and he starts crossing the road, and I think you dropped your wallet, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a ways to go on some of this stuff. I'm fortunate. I'm telling you. How about where I grew up? The good Lord knew what I was going to be doing later in life. For my grandparents to be 1 foot from the Harley family. It was. And for me to be in the profession I'm in, to be able to see what can happen, right now I feel for our officers. Every officer I see, I look at them and I say, be safe. You be safe. What they do is, what job? But it's all of us coming together. And let me say this, if you make it about the other guy, you don't have to talk black and white. You don't have to. I think most of our issues are financial issues. Education, and jobs, and money, being able to take care of families. And my parents wanted for us to have a better life than them. My parents were regular people. That means 80 or 90% of the people in this country, that's all they want. They want their children to have a better life than they had. Our job is, how do we do it? I have my niche. I'm trying to get these kids to the NBA and get them graduated. That's what I do. I can't tell you how to do your job. But if you come back to, how do we just be about each other? I wish I had time to, my time was to do what you're doing and really think of ways, because if you know me, my mind goes crazy. Like, I start bouncing, what about this? And did you hear what I gave to the SEC? Forget about a postseason tournament, let's do a preseason tournament. Everybody said, what did you think? I was just driving in a car. I said, what about that? So there are you in this room that think like me. We just got to come up with stuff. We can't worry about, again, how do we do this together? I don't think that was political, but it'll come out political. Promise I'm not running for Senate. I'm not. I'm just trying to win a game. That's all I'm trying to do. Yes, Rocky. Luthea, where are you? There you are. Her son and I have coffee every morning, Joey Palumbo, and we solve the problems of the world. You should sit there and listen to what we come up with. But anyway.
Coach Cal, thanks for being here this morning. We thank you for coming and what you're doing for us here in Commonwealth of Kentucky. Who has had the greatest influence on your coaching career from where you started to where you are now?
He's asked me who's had the biggest influence. I mean, for all of us, I heard one of our great alums, I think it was Bill Gatton, said when you're a turtle and you're sitting on a post, you didn't get there by yourself. You're on a post, you're a turtle. How did this happen? And I would say to you that for me, sometimes it's fate intervenes. I think there's such a thing as karma. I'm Catholic, but I know if you try to treat people right, it comes back. And if you're an evil dude, it comes back. If you're nasty, it comes back. And I just have been blessed. I mean, Larry Brown has been there for me. He just resigned yesterday or 2 days ago from SMU. But I've had other coaches that have played a part in that, that gave me opportunities to have a job. And I try real hard not to forget Ted Owens's and the guys that have helped me. I stay in touch with them to let them know I know. I stay in touch with my players. You know, you guys remember Marcus Camby? Yeah, he beat Kentucky when I was at UMass. Remember that? Big tall kid. Even when I talk to him today, he'll say, Coach, I love you. And I said, Marcus, none of this happens for me and my family without you. So I love you, kid. Remember that. He went to the NBA. He made $150 million. He's done well. He's taken care of stuff. That's how this is supposed to work. He's given back. I would just tell you again, and I see our speakers tell me, you're speaking too much. I would just tell you, I'll take one more. If we can look at people different, look at character. It's hard sometimes in a flyby. It's hard when you're in an elevator. It's hard. But please do this. How you think of them is how you react. And that's just my thing, whether it's someone that's poor. When I see them and they're in my company, I'm going to reach out and spend time with them, and I know you do the same. We just got to get everyone acting like you guys do, and ladies, and how we're trying. Yes?
Yes, Coach Cal. This is a quick question for the women in the room. Tell us exactly what it's like to have a new bunch of babies every year.
They are babies too, let me say that. For all you mothers in the room, you guys, can I talk a little bit about recruiting when I recruit? Because everybody says, oh, recruiting, well, we sell results. I just said 70% of our kids get drafted. 14 have gotten their college degrees. You're going to do both. You can do all that you want here. We're going to give you a hand up, but you're going to have to be responsible for you. We go through, we're not promising you anything. You're going to earn everything. If you want something given to you, go somewhere else. When I go in the home, I really only talk to the mom. I'm not talking to that dad. That dad asks me a question, I say yes, no. And mom, come over here, mom, how are you? Because that mom's helping that young man make that decision. Now, I want to tell you this, the flip side of that. If I see that young man disrespect his mom or his grandmother, you know I get up right then and leave. You don't respect your mom or your grandmother, you don't respect anybody. You're certainly not going to respect me. So, what we do and how we do this, my wife becomes their mother away from home. And she loves it. If they're not over our house in a week, like, where are the guys? Why aren't they coming over? Now, I'm coaching her son. Oh yeah, I gotta sleep with that woman now. She's already told me, you're playing him. I said, this is Kentucky, I can't just play him. Hey, that's your son, he's playing. So the mothers in here know I'm about to deal with something I've never had to deal with before. I don't want to keep going. I look forward to this because public servants, servant leaders, coaches, that's what we all are. Trying to build up, trying to bring together. I mean, my basketball team, if it's splintered, we can't be any good. We're always one of the most efficient teams in the country. You know why? They care about one another. They look out for one another. They become servant leaders. They're more about the other guy than themselves. If you're that way, a lot of the problems we have right now go away. Think about what I'm saying. I'm just going to care about that guy. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care how much money he has. I got to throw this in. Is there any media in here? Please don't have any media, because I don't mean this any other way. The only thing that drives me crazy is when a guy is going on third base and think he hit a triple. That bothers me. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind you bucking, stealing, trying to kick it, get there. But when you're born there and I hit a triple and then you bop and you walk home and I hit a home run. You didn't hit a home run. That's not meant for anything other than our country was built on earners and people that helped and people that understood, people that built something. We just got to get back to it. I promise I'm not running for Senate. I'm not. But this was fun today. I hope I left you with a couple thoughts. I hope you love Lexington because it's a great place to live. Our great state of Kentucky. I see our mayor, and I appreciate your comments, Mr. Mayor. He's been a good friend. I've spoken to his business. He has an unbelievable business that he's built. Our president, Dr. Capilouto, if I don't ask you to get up and let them see you, come on, stand up and let them. There you go, Dr. Capilouto. And again, I appreciate it. I hope I get a chance to see you all. Thank you.